U.S. citizens dying overseas with other Americans pulling the trigger and using drones to take them out. That's just one reason President Obama's pick to be the next CIA director has been on the hot seat in his confirmation hearings today. Let's break down this policy with Representative Peter King of New York. He serves on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, is the chairman of the House Homeland Security subcommittee of that committee. Is that right? Did I get that right, Congressman?
The subcommittee on counterterrorism.
On counterterrorism. You used to be the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. You were term limited.
Right.
So now you're on the Intelligence Committee. So what do you think about this policy that we now see in these memorandums that have been revealed, that the president can simply order an American citizen to be killed by a drone without any judicial review?
Wolf, from everything I've seen over the last several years, and including everything that's come out in the last several days, I think the president is acting according to the law, according to the Constitution. The president's main job, his main obligation, is to protect the security of the American people. And the fact that the enemy may happen to be an American citizen should not give that enemy any immunity. And to me, there are sufficient procedures in place. There are protocols in place. And to say that someone who's on the battlefield or is a high-ranking member of an enemy force is somehow entitled to due process. Listen, if we could capture that person, if we could somehow bring him to justice, otherwise fine. But if you take someone like Awlaki, there's no other way we could get him. And he really was one of the most dangerous people in the world, more dangerous than bin Laden.
Was he simply a propagandist, though, who inspired killings, inspired al-Qaeda operatives to try to go out and kill Americans and others, or was he involved in actual operational planning?
I can tell you, I guess as far as I can go, is that Awlaki was much more than a propagandist. He was much more than a recruiter. He was extremely high up in AQAP, al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. I really can't go beyond that, other than to say that from the classified briefings I received over the years, I had absolutely no doubt that Awlaki was a high-ranking terrorist, a man who was responsible for murder. He an orchestrator and planner of many of the operations. So, no, to me, there's no doubt that he would fit into any definition at all of who should be taken out if the occasion arose.
Can you say the same thing about Adam Gaddan, that California man who has now become an al-Qaeda operative, if you will, or a propagandist out there on the internet?
Again, I would have to see all of the information on him. He would be at a different level than Awlaki. My own personal feelings are I would have no problem with him being killed, to be honest with you. To me, it's like something like Tokyo Rose, if you will. But having said that, I would have to see all of the documentation. These are decisions that are made very carefully at high levels of our government. And again, they've set the restrictions. They've set the guidelines. I have no doubt Awlaki was within those guidelines. I would have to see more on Gaddan. I can tell you, morally, it wouldn't bother me at all. But whether or not he fits into those guidelines, I really can't say right now.
Here's what is in that leaked Justice Department memo that's come out. The condition that an operational leader present an imminent threat of violent attack against the United States does not require the United States to have clear evidence that a specific attack on U.S. persons and interests will take place in the immediate future. Here's the question. What's the difference between an imminent attack and immediate future? It sounds like there's a contradiction in that line.
I don't see it. I think in the world in which we live, someone like bin Laden, someone like Awlaki, these are long-term plans they have. For instance, the 9/11 plan was a long time being put together and being carried out. If we could have stopped it 3 months before, 6 months before, by killing bin Laden or killing one of the operatives in that plan, to me, that's imminent enough. And we know that Awlaki, for instance, in December of 2009, he was one of the architects of the attempted Christmas Day bombing. We know there were others he was involved in. So we have to assume that if he's on the run, if he's operating in Yemen, and he's put together serious previous attacks, that he would be planning another one now. So to me, the presumption has to be that he is engaged in an imminent attack and he's attempting to plan it.
Peter King is supporting the president on this sensitive issue. Congressman, thanks very much.
Yes, I am.